So my name is David Bass. I'm a screenwriter and I guess filmmaker now here in Raleigh. I've produced two short films. The one that was here in the Raleigh Film Art Festival was called If I Had a Time Machine, I'd Be Rich. It involves a struggling poker player using time travel. That is the time machine. The design of the time machine is handed to him by some artificial intelligence to go back in time and try to make more money. And along the way, he discovers that there's other things that are more important. Um, and then I did another short film a couple of years ago called Priority Boarding. It's a satire, comedy satire about the airline boarding process, a little bit more of a sketch comedy style. It got into multiple film festivals in LA and New York and Miami. And both of those are now on the YouTube. My YouTube channel is under my company name, Dust and Sweat and Blood Productions. And hopefully we'll have some more fun stuff coming down the pike soon. Well, art definitely imitates life. And life experiences inform the art. As you noted earlier, you talk about the role of the advancing technology and ask how how art can reflect the human experiences and potentially affect societal change. So, like, I've the core of If I Had a Time Machine, I'd Be Rich involves a guy playing poker who's down on his luck, and he thinks, well, if I had a time machine, I could play the hands correctly, because poker is a game of incomplete information. Sometimes you get the rest of the information after you've made a mistake. So, and everybody I know who's played poker has felt this way, right? Everybody's like, if I only knew that was going to go poorly, or that the winning card was going to come out, I wouldn't have surrendered so soon, or whatever the case might be. So everybody's felt that way. It's a very universal kind of feeling that comes from the life experiences. And so art does imitate life. But sometimes it's interesting also because it's also true that truth really, or real life really is stranger than fiction at times. There's been things that I've written where I've used either scenarios or dialogue that is as close to verbatim as I can make it from something that really happened. And the members of my writing group, even who know me well, have said that can't be. Nobody actually could have said that. Like, you'll never convince an audience that's authentic. And I'm like, it's too authentic because it's real. And so, we have to kind of be careful about that and make sure that there's enough plausibility to what we write that you won't lose the audience in the process. Do I have advice for aspiring filmmakers? Yes, actually I do. I would say do it for the love of the art and the learning process. As a poker player, I'm pretty good at calculating odds, and I can tell you that the odds of monetary success in film are not particularly good, and they're getting worse. But that then kind of brings me back to the central theme from If I Had a Time Machine, I'd Be Rich, which is that happiness, money can't buy happiness, right? You hear that like over and over, but a lot of people still, they don't totally get it. And in the film, that's ultimately what happens to the character. He realizes that the big problem in his life that he can use the time travel to solve is something else. And because happiness is mainly derived from doing things that are meaningful to you and the relationships with the people in your life that matter to you the most. And if you spend your energy doing what is meaningful and and building and strengthening those relationships, then you'll find the happiness. And film is a great way to be able to do that. You meet a lot of interesting people, you get to do some really creative things, and I would just say if you can stay focused as much as possible on the love of the art and the love of the process and learning, then you can really flourish in film. And maybe, hopefully, we all hope to make, we all want to get paid, right? I mean, that's a universal kind of emotion, but we can be happy doing it in the process if we don't lose sight of what really matters. So you asked me like how I got started getting into the film industry and what has been the most challenging and it's everything really. I came into this completely from outside. I never went to film school. I don't have any formal training. I didn't do acting when I was in high school. I didn't do training in screenwriting, and so everything was new. What happened is kind of an interesting story. I got into this by accident. A friend of mine in 2019 asked me to help with a project, and I had a business mentor many years ago who said, always say yes first and then figure it out. And if you have to extricate yourself, then just extricate yourself later. So I said, yes, but I don't know the first thing about screenwriting. And so I discovered that screenwriting it's appealing to me as a way to tell stories. Ironically, part of what makes it appealing to me is you don't have to type as many words as novelists have to type. Like the number of words in a screenplay is way less than is in a novel, where they have to describe, like to the minutest detail. Like I can say, we're at the exterior of an elegant house, and the novelist has to describe that house so that it can be imagined by the reader. Whereas if we make a film, there'll be set design people and so on that will bring that to life in a visual way. So I don't have to write all that. And it was appealing to me that I don't have to type so darn much as a way to do that. But it's been, since starting with that, it's just been learning, and improving and getting better and learning and then, at some point trying to make things. And I write by choice, and I've done sort of produced 2 short films now out of necessity, because if you want to get something made, somebody has to produce it. The overlap between the business career that I had and filmmaking, and really the biggest overlap is in the production side. In the business world, my specialty was mergers and acquisitions. And that's basically like getting a bunch of cats in a box. At one time, you got to get the buyer to get to a closing. You got to get the buyer, the seller, their lawyers, their bankers, their other advisors, like all together at the same time to close something. And a film is, in a lot of ways, it's very similar to that. You got to get each person in the cast, and you got to get each person in the crew to come together at the same time and agree on what it is we're trying to do, all while they all have other stuff going on in their lives. Like it's not like in independent film, it's not like you have everybody on the payroll and you can say, this is what you're going to do today, and you don't have any other things that you have to worry about. So we got to get all these cats in a box, and it's challenging. But in the business world, I dealt a lot with the business end of things, dealt a lot with lawyers, dealt a lot with contracts, dealt with insurance, dealt with budgets and planning and scheduling kind of activities. And when you strip away the fact that if you think of it as manufacturing a film, then the organizing the flow of people and things to get to a place and a time isn't as radically different as it might appear. And the producer is like the director of manufacturing. The film, if I had a time machine, I'd be rich. And my experience playing poker, of which I've done more than I care to admit, and how that relates to sacrificing potentially the authenticity in order to try to make something that's by design is comedic. And it's interesting to me in film and TV, a lot of times when there's poker in the story, it's a gateway. The poker serves as a gateway to something dark. It's dramatic. There's violence. There's criminal activity. There's addictive behaviors. There's loan sharking. People are broke, and there's broken relationships, and those are all real in the real world. Things that can happen as a byproduct of people getting involved in poker or other gambling activities. It's also equally authentic for it to be lighthearted, fun, a high level of collegiality among the players. Even as you're trying to take each other's money, you can still be friends. And there are some brilliantly hilarious moments that come organically from the process of being out and about and playing poker in different venues. And so, because the entertainment industry tends to lean towards showing the darker themes, I tend to lean the other way and wanted to draw out the comedy. And the very first screenplay I ever worked on, screenwriting project I ever worked on, was designed to do that. Was designed to look at the comedic side of the things that really do happen. So finding authenticity in that was really not difficult for me. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't sacrifice an authentic portrayal of, in this film, the Time Machine short film, of a private poker game. This is not a casino setting; it's a private poker game, but it's reflective of games that really happen. Not every game is like every other game. Definitely not every game is Molly's game. So you ask about my writing style, and you ask about the novel things in here, which was the breaking of the fourth wall and the supernatural element of time travel, both of which were the first time I've done that. I wanted to do it sometime. It's in a lot of my writing projects, I'm looking for something to try that's different. It might be using more flashbacks. It might be developing a montage. It might be, in this case, there's a science fiction component of time travel. Because it's a short film, there wasn't enough space to really delve into the science of how that would work. Like if you watch Back to the Future, they spend a fair amount of time trying to explain the quantum mechanics or whatever it would be. I decided to skip over that and just sort of go, well, it did work, okay? And the breaking the fourth wall was really fun. I mean, that was just a really fun part of the scene where he goes back in time. He doesn't get what he was asking for, but he gets literally what he asked for, but not what he really wanted. And he charges straight at the camera to say, "It's not what I meant." And that was a lot of fun putting that together and filming that. From a creative process standpoint, it always goes easier for me when I know where the story ends. One of the things I did in the business world a lot was used kind of a begin with to the end in mind business process, thinking process. That's not something I invented. It's out there. But when you know where you're going, then you can kind of figure out. And even if you don't know exactly how you're going to get there, like a lot of films are like that. They start here somewhere, and the character's trying to get to somewhere. They've got a goal, and they don't exactly know how they're going to get there. And so dealing with the obstacles and the unexpected things that come out along the way is what the whole story is all about. And the writing process can be like that. I know where I'm trying to get to, and I got to figure out how do I get there. And sometimes I run into writing obstacles, and then I have to work through that. The best thing that I did as a screenwriter was join a small writing group. There's 4 of us. We exchange material every week. We get together on a conference call every week. We beat each other. We love each other, and we beat each other up. We hold each other to account. And being able to take feedback from the same folks on a regular basis and get to know each other, then we can really look for the note behind the note. Like, okay, I get what you're saying. This isn't working. Help me figure out. Let's brainstorm and workshop and figure out how to fix it. And sometimes we get some things that come out of that process that are better than I ever would have imagined. And it's not just me; it's all of us, right? You get like, it's how do we solve the problem? Because there's plenty of services that provide third-party feedback. Usually, it's anonymous, and there's not an opportunity to say, okay, I get what you're saying is not working, but I don't know how to fix it. And the writing group is just amazing what that has done to really, and then you start to know what people are gonna point out, and so it's like, all right, I gotta up my game, right? I gotta increase my vocabulary. I gotta get sexier with the words. I gotta get more sizzle in the action in order to stand out. Because every week that I submit to my writing group, I want them to say, wow, you really you like overachieved again, and that's kind of like the goal. And so that's been a big part of it's been a really big part of the whole learning process and trying to elevate the quality of the writing that I do. And I raised about 60% of the budget doing a crowdfunding process, but I did not use, this is what's so unique about it, I did not use any of the crowdfunding websites, not Seed and Spark, not Indiegogo, not Kickstarter. I didn't use any of those. I just asked people to send their money directly to me, And I ran that through a little bit of friends and family, but mostly people that I play poker with and that I know through playing a lot of poker. And I said, just we'll skip the 5% or whatever that these other sites are going to take, or I guess it's probably closer to 8% when you count the credit card processing fees that are deducted. And I ended up with over 100 contributors and funded over half of the film that way. And some people I talked to that are in film, they're like, "You mean people just sent you like a PayPal directly?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And um, it's and I talk about I mentioned earlier about collegiality among poker players and the lightheartedness. And this was an example where people who, on any given day, and probably tonight when I go to a poker game I'm planning to go to, they'll be trying to take my money and I'll be trying to take theirs. But as soon as you get away from it, it's like a club, and people want to be supportive and helpful. And I had people send me amounts of money that were really surprising to me in terms of how much it was. I had a little reward system, and the top contributors got some swag, and a couple of them actually got to be in the film in sort of side roles. But the process of doing that, if somebody is raising money, crowdfunding for a film, most of the money anyway is going to come from people you already know, and you want to look for what that natural market is. And I just had the good fortune within the poker community of having kind of a natural market of people to go to with that turned out to be very successful. And I was really happy. I don't know if I'll be able to do that again, but it was very successful for this one. I was very happy about that.